Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon. If you enjoy the videos here, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the Word Balloon YouTube channel, and of course, if you enjoy the audios and the videos, you can subscribe to my Patreon page, patreon.com/wordballoon. Welcome back everybody. We're talking about Harley Quinn Season 1, Episode 12, The Devil's Snare, and John Sutters here, and I'm happy to welcome back the co-creator of Harley Quinn, the animated series, and co-showrunner. It's Patrick Schu, everybody. Welcome back, Patrick.
Thank you.
I got one little bone to pick with you because apparently we've got the Killer Trees on the loose, and they are disrupting a jazz festival. And there's a lot of knocks against jazz festivals. And I got to tell you, I'm a big jazz fan. I'm teasing you, but it did make me.
Gordon doesn't like jazz.
I know.
And whoever's doing the chyrons for the local news.
For the TV station, absolutely, man. I forget the actual phrase, but all that jazz in the jazz fest or whatever they say, it's like
jazz not worst thing at Jazz Fest.
That's absolutely, and well, we'll get to it later, I guess. It is in the episode, people comment on the jazz festival. But
jazz, it's just, it's fun to pick on it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. You're killing me.
I think I broke our composer's heart once when I picked on Baroque music, which was Jefferson's area of focus in at Juilliard and beyond. I was like, yeah, just make this scene it's like that Baroque bullshit. He's like, excuse me?
Well,
the harpsichord thing.
I can appreciate that. All right, so the Killer Trees are out there. Harley and Ivy, in particular, are fighting the Killer Trees, doing their best, trying to. Ivy's realizing she can't control the trees with her usual plant control powers, and first of all, the crew starts to get picked off and stuff. I like how the trees attack Cy. And for a very brief moment, he's able to walk again and get out of his chair. And then, of course, another barrage comes. All right, that was fun while it lasted, and he's stuck back in the chair. But, of course, Clayface's death scene, outstanding, hilarious.
Yeah, at that point, I think we were like, well, despite these episodes not having aired or the show not having aired and no one knowing that, how often we kill off characters.
Sure.
We were like, I think it's going to seem real. You want it to seem real. You want to fool the audience. And of course, Alan is just so good at finding that line where it's it's funny and also, just finding the pathos in it. So, he delivers that long death speech and then and just used it as an exercise for his for acting. And scene. Just chewing through scenery. It's oh man, this is such an epic episode. I don't even know where to start. I guess, as I have been doing, I want to credit, it was directed by Juan Mezzaleon, who's directed a ton of our episodes. It was written by Jane Becker, who had a big assist from Jameson Borak, who at the time was our script coordinator.
Okay.
He had a heavy influence on this episode, and we ended up staffing him, and he has since written some really significant episodes in season 2. But yeah, just a big old battle with this tree army that requires the Justice League to step in.
First of all, Gordon wants to bomb the park. And is ready to do that, and then Batman steps in and is like, "No, I need you to be subtle, Jim. Let's a little surgical move." But yes, he does tell us that the Justice League is on the way to take care of the trees. But yeah, Gordon wants to come in with the tanks. And
Gordon, his lust for carnage is never clear in this episode. The taxpayers paid for these tanks. Let's use them. And then of course, we needed to get So as you'll see, we just needed a reason to get Batman kind of out of the picture because, so we needed to get Batman away from the park where the action was going to be because of something that happens later in the episode, and so we have Scarecrow going around on the sort of perimeter of Gotham, causing trouble. So we take Batman kind of away from the park and from Robinson Park is I think what we scripted it as, and then we have
Jerry Robinson Park. That's great.
They just end up I think calling it Gotham Park, but that was the idea that it was Robinson Park. But and so then the Justice League show up. They think that surely Ivy is responsible for this because hey, you got killer trees,
right?
You got Ivy. Put two and not so hard to do the math, right? And so then thinking so you've got Superman, you've got Wonder Woman, you've got the Flash, and you've got Green Lantern there.
Yeah, John Stewart's there, absolutely.
Yeah, and so and it's a powerful team that could pretty easily, I think, neutralize our team at this moment in time.
Well, and the killer trees for that matter too. They make short work of the killer trees.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're about to put everybody in the Phantom Zone as criminals.
And I love it. It is the classic Superman film album cover Phantom Zone, which I absolutely adore. And it is so great. And that's a great callback, man. It killed me.
Yeah, that was a discussion figuring out what our Phantom Zone was going to look like, and that was a great pull. That was not the writing team for sure. That was a great pull from somebody on our art team. It might have been Jen Coyle, her idea, but someone, if not her, someone on her team, and it was a great pull. And so in order to avoid being thrown into the Phantom Zone for eternity, Ivy thinks fast, grabs Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, wraps it around herself, and then confesses that they did not have anything to do with it, along with a bunch of other stuff that she would ordinarily not want to confess, like she watches NASCAR.
And she takes long showers, so she's not the environmentalist and also hates paper straws for the same reason that we all hate paper straws. They get flimsy way too fast.
Yeah, and that she was excited for Jazz Fest. Then she gets zapped, and she's like, "Okay, I was really excited for Jazz Fest."
So again, that's my saving grace. All right, me and Ivy agree. We like Jazz
exactly.
Fest. It's all right.
Yeah.
So that's great.
It's the American art form. There's nothing wrong with it.
Jazz and comics. That's true, man.
Yeah,
it's very true.
So, all right. So, we think the shit's going to hit the fan, and then all of a sudden, somebody shows up who we haven't seen in at least 5 episodes. We hear Wanda Sykes' voice, and we see the book opening up almost like a Ghostbusters trap, like Ecto trap, or off a proton pack, and it sucks the Justice League in to the Queen of Fables book. And we find out that Queen of Fables is alive and well, as we knew she would be, but Harley, as she told Harley, you're making a huge mistake not killing me.
That's right.
It's going to come back to bite you. And it turns out that it's true. And that Queen of Fables is somehow involved in this plot. And so the Justice League is trapped in her book, and then it becomes a little bit of a Queen of Fables, a sequence of Queen of Fables versus our team. And we start to see, storybook characters that the Queen of Fables has in her arsenal, coming after the team, and she beanstalks them up into the sky. To basically lay waste to them. And so we have this sequence up in the clouds with a giant who is after them. And this sequence was just sort of, meant to be a backdrop for Harley finally understanding that Kite Man and Ivy have been covertly dating for a very long time.
Because who's going to get him down? The Queen of Fables warns and goes, all right, none of you can fly, right? No, we can't fly. No, of course not.
Yeah.
How do we get down from there? Who could possibly save us? Enter Kite Man. And I love Kite Man at his apartment with his roommate. and ready to go into action, and very clumsily pops out the kite while he's still in the apartment and is kind of tripping over stuff in the apartment before he can actually fly off. And
Oh yeah, puffs his chest out when he gets the call from his girlfriend. He's talking to his roommate Bill, aka the Bildo.
Dildo.
He's like, oh, my girlfriend needs me. He said he audibly said I love you to Ivy, and then Bildo's just like, she didn't say it back.
Oh no, man! It was the cell dropped. It's okay. I'm sure she said it. It's all right.
Yeah, still puffing his chest out, then trips all over himself. So, hey man, such a goof. We love him.
Have you talked to King? I noticed that on Twitter every now and then you guys go back and forth because, like, has King mentioned how much he's happy that Kite Man has been getting so much love on this show?
It's funny. I haven't really had a chance to talk to him, or any interaction that we've had on Twitter has been certainly very brief. I'll just, comment on something that he puts out. But I did have a chance last year at Comic-Con when I think it was the night after the Eisners, and he and Mitch Gerrards had won for Mr. Miracle, that they were having drinks just at the bar or the Hilton or whatever,
Sure.
the big bar.
Yeah, Hyatt or the Hilton, sure.
Yeah. And I was a couple drinks in, and I spotted him, and I was like, well, this I got to say something. I'm a fan, and yeah, I just shook their hands about Mr. Miracle, and told him what I did, and that I was working on the Harley show, and his first reaction was like, oh, he's like, I heard Kite Man's in it. And this is like well before the show had even come out, other than the pilot, which
okay,
yeah. But he had gotten wind of it. Now, I don't know if you guys have talked. I really have.
Literally, we talked last night, and unfortunately, the show didn't come up. But I swear to God, I was talking to Tom last night. We were very good friends. Go on.
Yeah, no, but I truly have no idea if he's seen it, beyond gifs or whatever of the Kite Man Hell Yeah gif. Them pumping his fist has made the rounds online. And of course that is inspired by Tom and the War of Jokes and Riddles, the interlude stories that he wrote, are focusing on Kite Man. But yeah, like Kite Man in the early days of the show was just this kind of curiosity. Not a lot of writers on the show were that familiar with him.
Okay.
He came up because we needed another villain, a male villain who, had pretty weak powers. If you even want to call them powers, that, was just an example of why, men with less skills than women in this area of supervillainy get a lot more cred, get a lot more support, and so he just he started out as this kind of douchey guy who had the hots for Ivy, but when we got Matt Oberg to voice him, and we started kind of really like beating out the whole season, he just became such a favorite in the writers' room. And it was like, well, we've got to, we have to take this further. And we knew that we weren't going to have Harley dating stories in the first season because it was about her, emancipation from the Joker and
being her own woman
immediately into another relationship. It felt like it was selling her character short and her mission short.
Totally.
And so we were like, well, we do want to, what about Ivy? And so. Yeah, we were like, well, could Kite Man have this kind of like redemptive arc? We love him so much. And then, yeah, he just became, he became a part of almost, for all intents and purposes, he was like a series regular by the end of it.
Sure.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that are loving him and this interpretation of him. And there are a lot of people that are rooting for Kite Man and Ivy to be together forever. Like hard shipping of Kyvie or whatever they're calling it. But yeah, like it's and without getting into the second season, I don't want to, because I know this is about sci-fi and the first season, but
right. But I
did it through the end of season 2, big part of the show, but that's the origin of it was really it wasn't a lark, but it was like just a necessity to find a character who fit that bill, who was the kind of lame, ostensibly lame hero with like bad, with shitty powers, and yeah, like Tom, I can't remember exactly when the War of Jokes and Riddles was running, but it probably was around that time, and yeah, it was like, well, how about Kite Man? And people were like, oh, that's a person? I was like, yeah, that's a person. Here, let's bring it up. And we brought up the interlude from War of Jokes and Riddles. And people were like, holy shit. Well, first off, it's like, wow, that's really sad and dark. That story is very sad.
Yes.
But yeah, like, oh man, yeah, him. Also, he's got a cool design. I think,
yes.
Like,
oh no, it's fun for a cartoon. Absolutely, man.
But also, like, even like beyond like the cartoon, I think like what Tom had in his Batman books, like that design that multiple artists worked on. I don't know who did the original design for Tom's iteration, but yeah, that's a beautiful costume, and so many cosplayers this year. Because of Tom, and then we started to see some kind of later in like the final conventions that were happening before the lockdown, that people were dressing up like Kite Man from the show, which was very cool to see. But Kite Man help. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and again, Ivy kind of just stumbling, like the whole crew is like, well, yeah, man, did you see how Ivy and Kite Man have been getting together, and Harley can't believe it, and just Ivy's whole. I guess I haven't said I loved him, but or when they kiss, and they're all like, "Oh, ew."
There was one shot. I don't think it was this episode. No, it wasn't this episode of Ivy and Kite Man kissing, and it's like they're in the foreground. It's this 2-shot. And then Harley's like in the middle ground right here, and literally in the middle of the frame, and they pull apart, and it's just this drool, like bridge of drool between the two. It's so gross. Like I was at one point, I'm like, can we just take that out? And we're like, well, it's gonna take a while. No, I actually don't know if it ended up in the. It was so gross.
That's fantastic.
But anyways, So Kite Man helps them down from the giant's lair up in the clouds, off the beanstalk. He saves them by squirting sriracha into the giant's one eyeball. That's one of Kite Man's favorite condiments. And he likes things spicy. And then we just have this big standoff at the end. You got Gordon and tanks.
Yes, he's got his tanks. Despite Batman's wishes. Yes.
Yeah. He's got his men and Cheryl, which is Gordon's weird gender ratio thing that he's into. He's a one woman, as long as we have one. And then this is big reveal of the Joker Tower. So it's a payoff from episode 9, A Seat at the Table, when Joker's pitching this idea, and Harley ends up giving him the sort of yes-anding him at first, at least, and talking about why wouldn't you like make it like a Jack in the Box coming out of the ground. Well, he uses her idea, and that happens, and you've had this like basically impenetrable tower that the Joker is inside of, and the gang is outside taking on Queen of Fables and the Big Bad Wolf, dressed as a grandmother. But vicious, as we've seen in the episode 7 with the Queen of Fables, when the Big Bad Wolf takes out the entire Praxis family reunion.
That's right.
So we know what the wolf is capable of, And then Clayface reaches into his bag of tricks for one of our weirder jokes we've ever done on the show, which is he becomes Grandfather Wolf to try and talk Grandmother Wolf as if Grandmother Wolf is actually a grandmother out of eating them. And it was... And then also, I think one of the characters, I think Psycho calls him out, like he's like, why did you make him Jewish? And he's like, it was a choice. And then he keeps going with it, talking about like this was sugar nonsense. But the important thing I think about this is that it really like told us just how much like Alan can layer his weird performances, leading to like all of these complex roles for him, like moving forward in season 2. Just the idea that like, okay, he's Clayface, but he's Clayface being a Jewish grandfather wolf. All right. And like, seeing him like find the places to kind of show his, pull back the facade and Clayface is there, just that sort of operatic, elongation of syllables and things like that. And that led to characters like Stephanie in season 2, who's sort of a sorority girl character.
When you go to Riddler University, absolutely, man.
Yeah, yes. But this was like, I think well, and of course I shouldn't say that this was like the starting point of that. I mean, we did it with the mailman son of Maxie Zeus in episode 3. And
who's constantly changing to fit Maxie's story about his son. Oh, he's got a hunchback. Wait, he's got blue eyes. Well, yeah. Alan is playing like 3-dimensional chess with his voiceovers. I mean, it's amazing. You're right. So many layers to this.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. But anyways, one of the grandfather wolf thing. One of the weirder jokes that we made in the show. And then we think that maybe they're done for when the wolf attacks Harley. So that turns out not to be the case when the wolf comes back, and we realize that Harley is actually wearing it, and she kills the Queen of Fables by beheading her. And it was definitely a discussion where we're like, man, like, we love Queen of Fables. We know she needs to be neutralized. We know, she just needs to be neutralized in this, but do we have to kill her? Do we have to? And it just felt so right because of everything that Queen of Fables had told Harley in episode 7. She's like, you gotta end the bloodline. You gotta end the bloodline. And Harley was reluctant because she's like, hey, I'm not that person. But in this moment, I think Harley was like, well, this is actually like the utilitarian response, and I've just got to end the bloodline.
Totally.
So she decapitates Queen of Fables, who is dead. Now she's a magic character, so who's to say, maybe down the road there's something can happen, but I'm not bullshitting. Like we have no plans for it. We've gone the entire season 2, and she's not there. So
it's not a comic book death. It is. I mean, you're allowing the opening, but as far as you guys are concerned right now, she is dead.
Yes, but the comic book death is a good segue, John, to talk about what happens at the end of this episode.
Man, you really hit the emotional note there. By all means, continue your talking about the story. Yes.
Yeah. So this one was we thought, even though the show wasn't out yet, fans had not formulated opinions. Audiences didn't really know what to expect at all. We had to kind of trust our guts that doing this and killing Ivy would be, dramatic enough to make people think like, oh my God, Ivy's actually dead, but also, not making them so angry that they stop watching the show. I mean, sure. I assume that like, hey, it's episode 12 of 13. If you've gotten this far, you might give the finale a chance. So I think that gave us a little bit of courage to do what we did. But yeah, we were like, okay, we want this. Well, I've skipped over the part that, Ivy kind of puts two and two together and figures out the only way that she's going to stop the tree army is to actually grow herself into a giant sort of monster version of Ivy, and start taking them out, which is a moral quandary for her, anyways.
Sure.
She's having to kill trees. She sees that one of them was just it was a young one because she's counting the rings on its body that's been ripped in half. And anyways, it's so she kind of saves the day as this giant version of Ivy, which of course Dr. Psycho has the hots for because he's historically has paired up romantically with large women and with Giganta and all that. And then we have this this sweet moment between Harley and Giant Ivy when Giant Ivy's holding Harley and she's like, wouldn't it be funny if I ate you right now?
Right.
And it's just, we wanted this, tender moment where they're like, oh, we saved the day, only for Ivy then to meet an unexpected demise in the form of this giant harpoon from the Joker Tower that just impales her. Yeah, and she immediately, shrinks down and starts bleeding out and dies. And we're
dies in Harley's arms.
Yeah, and
very Superman, Supergirl, Crisis on Infinite Earths number 8 or 7, I believe. 8, I think, is when the Flash dies. But yeah, no, it's that really and it's you guys play the drama to the hilt. Go on, yeah.
By the way, we use that Crisis image multiple times in the show, all the way through the second season's finale. We borrowed that that image.
That's cool.
And it's not even pertaining to another death, but it's yeah. Anyway,
it's a classic pose, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, another cliffhanger ending here.
Very somber cliffhanger ending. I mean, man, I mean, Ivy's death and the flowers that bloom all around her as she's dying, and she's really just laying on this bed of flowers. And Harley's incredible scream. Much better than Darth Vader's scream in Revenge of the Sith, if you will. But no, it was great. And seriously, man, no, you guys play this emotional moment. I mean, if there is music, it's really low, but I don't know if there was music or not at the very end.
I want to say that the end credits were one of the first ones that we did silent. That it was.
I think so.
Yeah, it just felt. It felt very strange to go back into our typical upbeat.
Yeah, the heavy. Yeah, exactly. The heavy rock theme and everything. Sure.
Yeah, and well, that's the other thing I forgot to mention in one of our past episodes when we were talking about the music and Jefferson's score that he composed, and also those. I talked about, because I think a lot of people that are watching this probably are watching the sci-fi presentations, which differ from the DC Universe presentations, in that the sci-fi ones, I don't believe they have the DC fanfare at the top with the logos and stuff, which was this way of doing this overtures like we talked about. And I don't think the sci-fi presentations actually have them. I think that they put the DC logo stuff at the end of the show, possibly in a picture-in-picture. They did a little bit of creative cutting with that stuff, but which was a little bit of a bummer because Jefferson's overtures that he's been writing bespoke for every episode are just so damn good.
Yeah.
As you're watching them over the Justice League, essentially, all these characters, and then these flybys and whatnot. But anyways, all that to say, I love Jefferson's music in the show. And then this was an example of, we just do a moment of silence for what just happened, leading us into the next episode.
Yeah, man, heavy note. And again, setting up the final episode, and we will talk about that on our next session. But things end on an understandable downer, and that's good because, again, I think you guys earned it with everyone working as they did, the writing and the portrayals and everything. So no, it was good, and it is kind of this oh shit moment, like you said. Did they really go there? Did they really kill Ivy?
Yeah.
We'll find out in the next episode.
Yeah, in the next episode, I'll talk about the inspiration for what we ended up doing.
Excellent. All right, man. We'll talk then. Thank you as always, and we'll talk about episode 13 next time.
Sounds good. See you then.
Thanks again for watching another Word Balloon video. We've got plenty more at our channel, Word Balloon. If you enjoyed it, please like it and consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, support me on Patreon, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thanks a lot for watching.